we're going to meet on Google Classroom. You're going to select today's date, which is 1/12/22, and you're going to pick up this file. All right, so a few announcements. I will be back in class tomorrow, so I will see you then. I'm approved to come back tomorrow instead of Friday. Now, what we are going to do today is we're going to switch it up. So we are continuing with our short story unit. The first short story we read was Gift of the Magi, and now the second short story we're going to be starting is Stray. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to be marking up the text, which means annotating. And what annotating does is that it helps us to develop a better understanding of what we're reading, because we're reading actively. We're not just sitting there reading passively. We actually have a purpose when we're reading. So unless you are projecting this lesson on the screen for everyone to see, I suggest you put in headphones so you don't distract the person next to you. So I'm keeping this video short because I can only record so much, and if you need to at any time, I'm going to remind you, please pause this video. Okay, so just like every assignment this week, this one is graded. If you do not finish it in class, make sure you do it for homework. All right, so what I'd like you to do right now is in the assignment description, there is a Do Now video link. So you're going to select that video link, and when you do, you're going to watch a little short. It's a short animated clip. So it's similar to that animated clip you saw about the boy addicted to video games. So what you're going to do is after you watch the video, and you may need to watch it more than once, you're going to tell me the plot. So what are the 2 to 3 most important events that happen? The setting, the time and place of the story. So for example, the time might be modern day, the afternoon. The place might be a kitchen, a park, a school. You're going to have to determine that. Then you're going to tell me the complications, so the conflict, the problems that arise as characters struggle to reach their goals. Then tell me who is the main character, and these pictures are here to help you. And then who is the antagonist? The antagonist is the individual who creates conflict for the character. So remember, characters don't have to be people, right? They could be animals, they could be objects, so keep that in mind. All right, so at this point, go to the assignment description, select the Do Now video, pause this video, and answer these questions. Okay, so let's take a look here. So think about this to yourself. Have you ever read an entire paragraph, passage, or page only to realize that you have absolutely no clue what you've read? Well, I think we've all been here at one time or another, and sometimes our mind drifts while we're reading, and that's perfectly normal, and sometimes we're hyper-focused when we're reading. So in order to ensure we are focused and to make sure we understand what we're reading, we're going to talk about annotating. So you've probably heard the word annotating before, and it's just a fancy way of saying to mark up the text or to take notes while you're reading. So in order to annotate, right, we need to set a purpose. We need to look for specific elements. Now, when it comes to annotating, right, here's an example of what not to do. You do not just want to highlight, or you don't just want to draw symbols without writing notes. So today we're going to learn at how can we become better at annotating. So sometimes we think we know what we're doing when we get highlight or happy, but if the entire page is highlighted, there just can't be that much important information. So that's the opposite of annotating. All right, so what you're going to do is we're going to highlight for a specific reason. So you're going to read the text 2 times, and it's only 3 pages. So during the first read, you're going to highlight any information about the setting and character descriptions in green. So anything that tells me about the weather, the time of day, the place, that's all setting, that's going to be in green. Anything that tells me about who the characters are and what they look like and how they act that you feel is important is going to be green. Now, when it comes to reading the second time, you're going to go back and read, and now you're going to look for any examples that describe the conflict, so the problems in the story, and that's going to be in red. So please make sure you're looking at the right highlighter color so I understand your work. So it's entirely up to you, but in the assignment description, there is a audiobook video link. It says Stray audiobook, and it's a YouTube version of the text being read. So at this time, if you would like to pause the video and listen to the audio as you read that, you can. So remember, you are highlighting in green anything about the setting where the story takes place and the character descriptions. And then when you go back and read again, you're highlighting in red anything about the conflict. So I'm going to skip ahead here because at this point you should be paused and reading. Okay, so at this point you should be done reading the text and you're going to answer these 5 questions right here. It says, where does the story take place? Describe the weather. How does the weather create a problem, a conflict for the characters? List the characters, so what are the characters' names? And who or whom is the main character, and how do you know? So pause this video right now and answer those questions. Okay, so at this point you answered the questions on the previous page. So now we're on review question 1. Look at this little pup. Okay, so how does this photograph reflect Doris's feelings for the puppy? Okay, that's the question you're answering. Okay, number 2. How do the details of this photograph relate to the story's setting and conclusion? Well, look at the weather, right? What does that have to do with the setting? And what does it have to do with the end of the story and what we find out happens? Okay, so pause the video and answer it. All right, then you're going to answer these 3 questions. How does Mr. Lacey's attitude towards the stray dog change after he visits the pound? In Stray, the puppy wags its tail timidly. How does Doris behave timidly when her father sees the dog? So if you don't know what the word timidly means, you could look it up in the dictionary. In Stray, why do Doris's parents ignore her when she points out how good the dog is? All right, so after you answered all those questions, you're going to complete a quizzes on Stray. So you could pause the video and do that now. All right, so in the assignment description, there's a video called Puppy Separation Anxiety. You're going to watch that video. You might have to watch it 2 or 3 times. It's about 5 minutes. Now, as you watch it, you're going to answer these questions. So the first one says, what is puppy separation anxiety? What are 2 tips the speaker mentions to prevent separation anxiety? What are 2 things the speaker says you shouldn't do? Why shouldn't you leave a puppy alone for more than an hour per month of age? So for example, 1 month, 1 hour away. The video mentions 5 steps to ease your puppy separation anxiety. What are they? Out of the 5 steps mentioned, which step do you think would work the best to alleviate puppy anxiety? That means get rid of or limit. And then after learning how much responsibility goes into caring for a puppy, do you think you'd be capable of caring for one? Why or why not? Okay, so pause the video and you're going to watch this puppy anxiety video, answer these questions. Now, if you finish this entire file before the end of both periods, you're going to do constructional software followed by Epic. All right, now you could replay this video at any time if you have any questions.